Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Town of Stellarton Council meeting, October 11th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. start time. We're here in the council chambers. First item is the approval of the agenda. Is there any change or additions to the agenda?
Yes, Your Worship. I'd like to add trees, Fiona, or whatever they call her, and
Okay.
Fiona, in the Power Commission.
Where do we want to put this? Probably number, after the resolution, do you think? Number 9?
Yeah, you can put it down there, yeah.
Your Worship, I'd like to add one too.
Okay.
Timeline on branches and trees being picked up on properties.
Okay, so we have two additions. 10 is trees and Fiona. 11 is timeline for branches. Any other additions or changes?
Yeah, I guess the power would be looped in with the trees, or would that be separate? Yeah, okay. All right.
I move the agenda, Your Worship.
Second the motion, Your Worship.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor by saying aye. Contrary minded, most carried and answered. Thank you. The approval of the minutes is next. They're distributed electronically. They're also part of the package. Are there any errors or omissions?
Move to accept, Your Worship.
I second.
Moved by Councillor Knight, seconded by Councillor Wand. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, most carried and answered. Thank you. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to a proclamation. This is Circular Economy Month. The Town of Stellarton hereby declares Circular Economy Month October 1st to 31st, 2022. We commit to waste reduction, resource conservation, and community education for sustainable living. We recognize that losing waste to disposal and as litter are local and global threats to the environment. We will take action to reduce our waste and support the circular economy. So could I please have a motion to declare?
So move.
I second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Wand. All those in favor saying aye. Contrary minded, most carried and answered. Thank you. And we're pleased to welcome Jim Swain here this evening for a presentation regarding Operation Christmas Child.
Your Worship and Council, it's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to be part of Operation Christmas Child. Operation Christmas Child is the largest, one of Samaritan's Purse, and the largest project of its kind in the world. It demonstrates God's love in a tangible way to children around the world. It's a non-denominational Christian organization. And for the children, for many of these children, they believe that they're being punished. They have a punishing God for the way they live and are brought up. They are victims of war, famine, persecution, poverty, and so forth. Some ask why a shoebox. Many people do ask why a shoebox. It all stems from the Great Commission, Matthew 28, 19, and 20, to go around the world and dispose of discipleships. For many of it, it's the first time ever they received the Word as a living God, or a loving God, in a tangible expression, the love of God. This opens their hearts to a God and the gospel. Some ask what the $10, and I think there's a big misunderstanding of finances when it comes into Operation Christmas Child, and especially in this area. The $10, a lot of people figure is for administration, transportation, and all that, but it's not. When you get a shoebox, like this little fellow here has a shoebox, this here little gift, the greatest gift goes in the box, and they take it home to their parents or their grandparents, and one man in here, he read it and it changed the whole family's life. Then when they've done that, they go to a 12-step professional Bible Christian studies, which they get the Greatest Journey book. I like to have this book myself. And then they have graduation and a certificate, and from there on, they receive this Bible. Now, it's not all the Old Testament. The odd part of the Old Testament is it, but here and on that, that's what basically the $10 for it. And we're asking the town of Stellarton if they possibly could take part and be part of the Great Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. How would you like us to take part?
Well, they can take a part in the shoebox and duty, or they can take part in the finances. Like $10 gives them, every $10 they put in, they will go towards this year, the studies. And that's the hardest part of a lot of people pack a shoebox, but they don't put $10 in.
So Jim, are you looking for a monetary donation from the town? Are you looking for a monetary donation from the town?
If that would be approval, yes.
Okay.
They'd be really thankful for all that.
Okay.
That will go to our annual grants committee, the whole meeting, for discussion.
But,
We'll take that to our next meeting for
Yes,
discussion.
yes, that'd be
and we'll let
fine.
you know.
okay?
Okay?
Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate your time, your
You-
presentation, and your
Thanks.
work.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll move on to item 6, reports from staff. 6A is Chief Mark Hoback, Stellarton Police Service. Any questions or comments? Another busy month.
Just a comment on the performance of the police department, a great job they're doing.
Thank you. Can you want to make that a motion for the report?
Yes, I'll make that a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor Knight, seconded by Councillor Wand. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. 6B, Fire Chief Michael Sullivan. The report's included. I just wanted to thank the fire department. Times like this show the real value of things like the fire department through crises like Hurricane Fiona. The Comfort Center was a real comfort to all of our residents. It was used for several nights, so we're really happy and pleased that the fire department, the volunteer fire department, was able to pull that off. And they also had a real uptake in calls because of the hurricane. Calls about wires, poles, trees sparking as a result of the hurricane. So I just want to thank them for their work during this time of crisis for the town. It's a very important department. We're thankful for them and their volunteer service.
I heard Councillor Wan, man, at the comfort zone for a few hours.
I make a motion that we accept the fire chief's report, Your Worship.
I'll second that motion, Your Worship.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, most carried unanimously. Thank you. 6C is Paige Clark, Marketing Communications reports included. Just had a question about the new app. Kind of sounds funny, but can we alert people with the old app about a new app through the old app?
Good question. So what's happening now, it's switched. So if you have the current app, it will notify you that there is an updated app coming. It won't update it for you, but it will tell you about a new app, and the app is called Town App. So if you go in under your, wherever you get your applications from, under your phone, you just put in Town App, and then it'll download, and then in that app itself, you would put in Stellarton, and then voila, there's your updated app.
Thank you. I went through that process this afternoon. My only comment is it's a nice new app. We lost the bell tower, the logo, and the
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, so the logo is now no longer.
Thank you.
Your worship, when, or Susan, when are we going to get the message? Because I didn't get the message yet.
The last day, I believe, is Sunday, so it should be coming sometime this week. If you don't get it, I know Paige has put it on the website, on Facebook and all of that, but you should be also getting it on the app this week.
Okay, thank you.
And I wanted to mention from Paige's report, it's kind of cool. Creative Pictou County, who we've provided some funding to this year, is manufacturing large-scale pumpkins to be placed throughout the county. So Stellarton will be receiving several of these pumpkins. We'll have them displayed in prominent areas, obviously for Halloween. Other than that, I have no comments. Any other questions or comments in the report? Have a motion, please.
So move, Your Worship.
I second that.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Wand. All those in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, most carried unanimously. Thank you. 6D is Blaine Murray, Town Engineers Report. Questions or comments?
Yeah, Your Worship, I just want to speak in something personal here. I had the meter guys were going to put my meter in today, and I was totally surprised. They came in my house, they actually put slippers on over the shoes or covers. They didn't mark it up, it went down. They did a great job, very, very polite, very cordial. answered any questions I asked. And I had cut the hole in the wall because I just have for my shut off to turn it off. So they have to put so when I called them, they said they needed 2 feet. So Paul came in and we cut a place to put 2 feet in. But he told me I didn't have to do that. They would have did it for me. But because the wall was finished, they put a covering over it. So when they're finished, they walk away, it's all finished. So they're very polite. I just want to pass it on. They did a great job. And the gentleman that did mine, he said mine was the first one that he did in Stellarton.
I'll go on.
Yeah, he answered a lot of interesting questions, and so I asked him a lot of questions in case if they're thrown at me that I'll be able to answer them, you know. Yeah.
That's great news. Sounds like a successful first install. And Neptune's done this in many municipalities over the last number of years, so I'm not surprised you have a real positive experience, and that's good to hear.
And again, I just want to, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there was one interesting thing they did bring up is the fact, I don't know if people realize, but if there's a leak in your house, they'll know. It'll be reported back, and they will know that there's a leak in your house, and they can notify you so it can be rectified. Under the old system, like I had a toilet leaking and a furnace leaking, and, you know, it would have picked it up and let me know.
Excellent. On the engineer's report, is there questions from council?
No, not a question. I just want to say thank you to the town employees. Very hard. I know that, you know, for example, some of the parks are still needs, you know, trees chopped up and everything. But I'm telling everyone to be a little bit patient because what has happened, I think, is unprecedented from what I've seen, from what I've talked to people. But in general, an excellent job. Thank you very much.
The entire council feels that way. It was an unprecedented event, for sure. The 13 employees of Public Works have been working pretty much around the clock for the last few weeks since Fiona and preparing for it the week before. So we really appreciate the work. The residents really appreciate the work, and they're doing a good job. So we pass it on for them.
Yeah, also work holidays. I dropped in the other day to thank them on their dinner hour, and it was on a holiday. And yesterday, I believe, was a holiday, and they were around collecting trees on the holidays.
Right, right. We appreciate them. So the residents, thank you for highlighting that, Councilman One.
Your worship, I'd like to approve Blaine's report as written.
Second, Your Worship.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor, by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. And to echo Councillor Wan's comments, we do ask for patience from our residents. Like I said, we have a small staff, but we will get to it. But we ask for your patience as we work our way through a big job. So we can move on to 6E. Yeah, 6E, Noah Delory, Active Community Living Coordinator.
Your Worship, Councillor Pence and myself attended the homecoming wind-up meeting, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to be at any of the events this year. But from what the reports I got back, they went off excellent. There was only a few small little glitches. One was with the security, which we tried a new security. It didn't work out as well, but the police were there to back them up. So everything went out well. There was a little bit of money left over, a little bit of change left over, which is good for any years that we run into an issue or problem. Apparently the dance, there was over 900 at the dance. And all the events were a smashing success.
Yeah, I attended quite a few of them, and the feedback I received at the events and afterwards was that they were put on very well. So thank you to the Homecoming Committee for all their work and to staff for their
And I
work.
just want to point out that because they did shoulder Noah and Paige shouldered a lot of the work in putting it together. So I must compliment them on the great job they did.
Thank you very much for that. I'm sure they appreciate it.
But Brian, we must not forget the other volunteers that were on that group as your legions and your Air Force clubs.
Well, you're right. Thanks for pointing that out. If it wasn't for the ongoing that's been there for the Fire Hall, the Legion, the Air Force Club, and Sharon Church, I think, backed up the... unfortunately, we lost some of them this year because of COVID, but I'm sure they'll be back next year. Yeah, thank you.
It was a great event.
I'll move the report as written.
Thank you.
Second report.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Knight. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7, correspondence. Is there any correspondence?
Yes, I received a letter via email on October the 5th from Dale Patterson, who is the EA project lead for Tomorrow's Mill, just informing council in the coming weeks, the environmental consultants, WSP, will be back on the water to conduct marine baseline studies.
Thank you for that.
What does that mean? Is that the phase 2, phase 1, phase 5? What phase are we in?
I can read the letter. I am writing to inform you that in the coming weeks, our environmental consultants, WSP, will be back on the water to conduct marine baseline studies to inform the proposed transformation of the mill and the environmental assessment report for the Nova Scotia Department of Environment and Climate Change. Weather permitting, you will see a couple of small boats in Pictou Harbour, East River, Middle River, and West River for the first 2 weeks of October, depending on weather conditions. The boats will be used to gather fish and water quality data to inform the baseline effects assessment and to service and maintain equipment that has been deployed for longer-term monitoring on the marine environment. This work will not interfere with commercial or indigenous fisheries or marine traffic in the study area. For the fish study, we intend to examine the same sites as our summer surveys so that the habitat can be compared across different seasons. More targeted locations will be considered to account for potential spawning grounds and seasonal areas of interest. Water samples will be collected to understand the level of contaminants currently in the water. Separate water samples will be collected and submitted for eDNA analysis to support the findings from the fish surveys. We will also gather data to develop an accurate profile of the marine environment, including temperature, salinity, depth, and currents. Additional work may be conducted between now and December based on analysis of data collected over the last 6 months. We will be sharing information on our website, tomorrowsmill.ca, and Facebook page about the upcoming marine work and any additional studies to be conducted. Please get in touch if you have any questions or concerns, or if you would like to know more about the work being conducted. Similarly, once the marine baseline work is underway, please contact me if you have any issues, concerns, or questions. Sincerely, Dale Patterson.
Okay, so we'll move on to Committee of the Whole report.
Following recommendation is for Council's consideration from correspondence received since the last committee meeting. On recommendation of the Committee of the Whole via email, Council approved $500 to the NSCC Pictou Campus Student Association for their Welcome Back barbecue.
I move that, Your Worship.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor Knight, seconded by Deputy Mayor Pence. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Move on to item 9 with a resolution for Deputy Mayor. It's that time of year. Be it resolved, the appointment of Deputy Mayor of the Town of Stellarton adopted under authority of Section 16(2) of the Municipal Government Act, that Deputy Mayor Brian Knight be authorized to sign checks and other legal documents in the absence of the Mayor from November 1st, 2022 until October 31st, 2023 for the Town of Stellarton.
So move, Your Worship.
I'll second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Pence, seconded by Councillor Wand. All in favor by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, most carried unanimously. Thank you. Welcome to Councillor Knight as Deputy Mayor. Move on to item 10. So do you want to put these in one item, or we'll do two? So 10 is trees and Fiona.
Thank you, Your Worship. Not this Friday, Saturday past. The Friday, Saturday past before, I had several calls from several residents of the town and their concerns, trees falling. Of course, they're falling everywhere. But in particular, these trees are on our property, and they're falling on land. Some of them up along Poplar Street, along that area, the ball field, soccer field, and so forth. But the worst one that I come across, of course, was down on Fairview. And there's a gentleman down there, this tree's 65, 75 feet above his house. It's not if they're going to come down, it's when they're going to come down. And some of them are down now, and they're going to have to be removed. They're on our property. I brought it to, I guess I should have brought it to council, but I brought it to Blaine's attention here a number of years ago. Unfortunately, it was around the time when we lost our God lover, Rachel, and she was the arborist, and it kind of got caught up in there. But there's a warning out there with Fiona, and there's going to be more coming. I think what we need to do, and I asked Jamie to go up with me and take a look to get his feedback on it and his perception on it. But like we're saying, what we're going to have to do is start a program to push those trees back, cut them down, so if they do fall, they're not going to cause any damage. These areas that are in that piece of land that we had looked at on High Street, the trees are down there, are all leaning down. I had another call from a person down in Kensington. A tree fell down into their property, smashed the roof of the barn. So if we don't look at it in a proactive manner, what's going to happen down the road is we're going to be paying out insurance claims through the nose for properties that are damaged from trees that come off ours. So I'd like to see is, if not now, at least put it in the budget for next year, and we're going to have to start now is cutting back some of these trees. Our town workers might be able to do some. I don't know if there's enough leeway in the budget to, or what they're going to do, but something has to be done. The ones that, of course, on our land that came down and damaged are the ones that are potentially going to cause harm or will need to be removed, and it's going to be on our dime. The other thing is on the Power Commission. I know it was overwhelming. I know it was unexpected, and I applaud them on the work that they did. But again, I had several calls. Somebody asked me why they called the councillor. I said, well, we're the only ones that are close enough that they can reach out to. So there was 3 particular instances they called me, and the contact that we have, I contacted her and left it with her. And within 2 hours, the Power Commission was up, took care of it, and rectified the situations. Now, I don't know if that was just a coincidence, or if they weren't aware of it, or what system they have out there for identifying it. If there's something we can do as a town, I don't know. But I do know that some of these people were calling in, and they weren't getting anything done. But I mean, if there's something that we can do, I just want to bring it to council's attention that, and these were areas. Wasn't one house. It was several homes, and in one particular area down on River Street, there's group homes down there, and there was 2 gentlemen in there, one with a bad heart. And when I did talk to them, she was excellent, and her question was, is there anybody down there that are vulnerable? And maybe that's something we need to look at going forward, that if there are people in these houses where there's power out. I mean, the Power Commission, they don't know. They have no way of telling that. But if there's something we can do as a town to highlight it or bring it to their attention, I don't know. But anyway, I just want to bring it to council's attention.
I think you have a point there. I noticed on Facebook today, Carla McFarlane asking her constituents to report back to her outages in her area. So Nova Scotia Power is not fully aware of all the outages. I had a similar experience with Pennsylvania Avenue. I don't know if they knew about that being out, but once they emailed them, someone from the Power Commission, there's only a few hours later to put on. So I think the information flow is part of an issue here.
I think there is an information. Once they were aware of it, they were there within hours. But it was almost seemed like they weren't aware of it, and there were some trucks that you could see them standing, and not in use. Now I don't know if they're waiting to be deployed or what the issue was with it. But like I said, on all these 3 incidences that I reached out, within hours the truck was there and everything. And one particular, there was lines down on High Street and on the top of Belmont, and there were several homes there. I got an email from a gentleman who was renting it out and asked me, is there anything you can do? I said, well, the only thing I can do is reach out to the contact I have. And like I said, I applaud them on what they did, and I know it was beyond, but communications, if there's something we can do in communications, or if they can set a better lineup, it certainly might help.
I think this was a learning curve, Brian, for all emergency organizations, Bella Line, Nova Scotia Power, and the mall.
So here's what happened. People did not report the power outages because they couldn't use the internet. So my wife was talking to my daughter who lives in Newfoundland, and she asked her to go on the website and see what's reported in Nova Scotia. And in our area, there was only 3 houses that have been reported, even though every single house in Stellarton was out of power. So at that point, my wife asked my daughter to report on our house. So in the in the absence of communication that has happened, I'm not really sure if Remo can help with that or not, and I'm not really sure if everybody's out, how do we prioritize? So we'll just need to take it, offline and maybe do a little bit of study and try to understand how the mechanism of priorities gets established. As Brian said, when someone is really in need, right? There could be a priority, so we need to understand how do we identify that and how can we create a system in the future to capture that and to work on it. But if there was a total shutdown of communication in the future, I don't know what can be done.
So are we planning a debrief for Remo for the? Okay, so that's good for that agenda item. Deputy Mayor Knight, we'll move on to Councillor Pence, timeline for branch and cleanup.
Yes, Your Worship, I had a few calls from residents. They wanted to know when the town was cutting off, picking up branches and trees. And I didn't have an answer because I don't know. Is there a specific timeline, Susan, or?
So thank you for asking that question. At the management meeting this morning, I spoke with Blaine about the timeline. As council has indicated, the staff have literally been picking up debris since Monday after Fiona and hasn't stopped. We've gotten support from Verhagen and Stewart's, and so a lot of the other operations are stalled or stopped because of this cleanup. Having said that, in speaking with Blaine, we are continuing to clean up, and we are looking at a timeline of the deadline for people to have their debris out on their front areas, properties, to October 31st. Keeping in mind that we understand there are trees that are still dangling and people are not able to get the services that they need to cut the trees down. So in that instance, if there is a resident after October 31st that has debris put out, that they would just need to contact us and we will go pick it up. But snow is flying sooner than we know, and like I said, other operations are stalled because of this. Unfortunately, we had to cancel our high school Albion baseball tournament on the weekend because the field wasn't ready and we wouldn't have been able to get it ready. So things need to be going back to normal. And so if any resident after October 31st needs any assistance with regards to picking up the debris from their property, that they would just need to contact our office.
You will get Paige to put that on Facebook?
Yes, we will
and
make sure that the residents know after October 31st. We were very blessed to have good weather after so most people have been able to were able to get their trees down, have been able to put it out front. But yeah, so we will do that.
Thank you.
Susan, is October 31st deadline for the rental truck from Verhagen, or?
We don't have a deadline for Verhagen. We'll use him as long as we can get him, because there's days where he's pulled off, like for example today, he wasn't able to assist the town.
Oh, okay.
So we'll use him as long as we can get him.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up, Councillor Pence. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
The residents do as well. So I think we're ready to move on to item 12, open forum. Does anyone like to speak at the open forum?
Your Worship, I would just like to remind residents with the water meter installation project that Councillor Knight brought up, There is an open house for any questions that any residents have. That's taking place tomorrow, October the 12th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Stellarton Fire Hall. We will be on site as well as representatives from Neptune for any questions that people have with regards to billing, installation, and we'll answer as best as we can. And thank you, Councillor Knight, for bringing up the fact with leaks. That is something that we're very excited to be able to share with people once their water meter is installed and is working. Any leaks or any kind of absorbent usage will be noted, and we can notify the resident, which we're very pleased to be able to do.
It's great for the residents, also great for the river.
Exactly. Yeah.
It makes it more sustainable, so thank you. Thanks for highlighting the open house tomorrow night.
Yes.
It's a big project, so if residents have any questions, they can join us at the open house.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next council meeting is Monday, November 14th, 5:30 p.m. here at the council chambers. Going to be a public hearing that time as well, on the 14th of November. And could I ask for a motion to adjourn, please?